Morning, everyone. I'm Victoria and I'm a life coach. And today I'm going to talk about intentional outcomes. Now, maybe a good one to talk about today because I woke up feeling a little low. It's been the first morning out of the whole lockdown scenario that I've woken up feeling a little worse for wear. In fact, this kind of thing doesn't really bother me because I've got so much work going on that I have a lot to do. But I think as I said to you in one of the first videos, I'm separated from my kids, and so it's been a little tough and a little difficult. Well, at least this morning it has. I feel like I miss them, and I realized any talk of an extension would really probably make me feel really miserable. So it's actually a good baseline for what I want to share with you today, because today intentional outcomes, the topic intentional outcomes helps you recalibrate how you experience your day, especially if you're waking up feeling like I felt today. And I don't think we always wake up feeling like this. Maybe some of us do. Maybe some of us have really difficult lives. Um, and certainly, if I have a look at the stats worldwide, the rise of domestic violence calls, the implications for domestic abuse of this social isolation is quite scary to think about. And I mean, I don't want to focus on that, but I do want to make you aware that, and make you realize or help you realize that it's okay if you're not dealing with this very well. Um, everyone puts on a brave face on Facebook, and everyone puts on a brave face to the world, you know. But it's not everybody's story. Hey, it's not everybody's reality. And so today's intentional outcomes video, I think, could help you a little bit to recalibrate how you experience your day. So intentional outcomes can be applied. The techniques I'm going to share with you today can be applied whether you're applying this to your relationships, or whether you're applying this to your career, or any kind of personal goal that you've set yourself. Um, Maybe you haven't set any goals, and that's something you need to think about. Maybe you're living your life day to day and really thinking that you're going somewhere, or life is fine, but actually when you sit down and really think about it, there's no real direction in your life. And I think a lot of this time of spending it alone, or spending it without having the rush of the morning traffic to chase, and school routines, etc., for parents, you have the time to reflect. And I think a lot of people that I know are reflecting deeply on many things in their lives. Um, I have friends who are going through some very difficult experiences, and I have friends who are just cruising. Life's cool, right? So it's everyone's story is different. And as you know, I'm staying with my cousin. She's a psychologist, and we were talking last night about how much we, as human beings, we can have the same experiences in life, but the impact, the implications, the way that we experience them, and how it affects our lives can be completely different from one person to the next. And the psychometric makeup of an individual's mind, their filters, their psychological structures, their thought processes, all affect how each individual experience the same thing. And one cannot stand in judgment of another for responding differently to an experience that may seem illogical, not right to you. And we'll talk about judgment, and I like to try and use words that are not judgmental when it comes to our choices, because you know, when we start judging things as right or wrong, we can get sidetracked, okay? And we can start producing a feeling of guilt, which is not productive at all. Okay, not productive. So, intentional outcomes. Here's the thing. When we can intentionally project our day or our week or our month or our year or our next 5 years or 10 years, we restructure our actions. And how this works is when you intentionally sit down and work through what it is you want to accomplish in your day and how you want to feel by the end of your day, you start to reprogram your subconscious mind and your thinking. You know the very famous saying that you are what you think, right? And that is so true, because everything you think subconsciously, you consciously will act out, especially in moments when you're under pressure. You know, when somebody's under pressure, you will see their truth, and their true belief systems will come out immediately, because the pressure creates the subconscious pull. All right, so in the technique I'm going to give you, you're going to systematically, day by day, reprogram your subconscious mind to intentionally live. So what you focus on, you that's where your actions go, that's where your intentions go, that's where your energy goes. All right, so when you're focusing on negative and when you're complaining all the time, guess what's going to happen? You're going to only see that which is negative. You're only going to see that which is terrible. You're only going to see that which you need to complain about, because that's what you're focusing on. You're not going to see anything else. I want you to just think about your body and all the aspects of your body. If you just think about your hands, how subconscious are you that you have hands until you need to use them? Have you ever hurt a finger? Your thumb, your little pinky, which you think your little baby finger is like inconsequential on your hand, until you hurt it, right? Until you I've got a little cut there. It was a paper cut, and until that happened, you know, I'm pretty unconscious that my finger is there and that it's working and has a purpose. And then when there's a painful implication, I realize, wow, gee whiz, I didn't realize how much I need to use my fingers for certain things. So now that is the same for anything else. So when you're goal orientated, and I'm very goal orientated, I've been a to-do list junkie all my life, until I realized actually these goal orientations and to-do lists are quite pointless unless I have an intention attached to my goal. What is my intention, and what does that mean when you change your goal from a goal to an intentional goal? Because when we write goals, what are we writing? A list of to-dos, things we need to achieve, okay? And usually those are measurable things. And if you've done any kind of management study, you know the concept of SMART goals. So anything measurable. But how would you feel at the end of achieving those goals? What would your life look like? What would you feel about yourself? What is your self-perception at the end of achieving those goals? And so intentions are far deeper than goal setting. And when you set an intention that is then your first port of call, so what is your intention? To have solid, healthy relationships today. What is your intention with your career? To achieve meaningful outcomes that get me to the point of earning the profits that I'm looking for. Or maybe you're studying and you want to understand certain principles that, you know, instead of saying I want to go over the topic of what can we talk about? The topic of, let me just say psychology, because that's the first thing that's coming to my mind. So the topic of thought processes, you want to read through the chapter. Why don't you say that you actually want to understand this chapter so much so that you can explain it, and that you change your behavior because of the things that you've learned. So intentions, excuse me, intentions are a little deeper than just writing the list of to-dos. And I hope you're understanding me. We help you create an intentional outcomes-based plan when we do life planning with you, when we do career planning, when we do relationship planning. So my intention today, one of my intentions, is to have meaningful interactions with my children. That by the time I go to sleep tonight, my interactions with my children have fulfilled me, have settled my mind, settled my heart, helped alleviate any stress that they may be going through, if they're going through any stress at all. And so we can set an intention regarding our personal interactions with people. Ensure, I have a personal motto: leave people better than you found them. And sometimes I'm mindless about that motto and I don't think about it very often. But when I'm intentional about it, I have much more profound impact on the people that I come into contact with, whether at the grocery store, whether it's even my dog. It doesn't need to be a person, but so we can set those intentions. And I encourage you to set an intention for your perfect day. What would your perfect day look like? All right. What would your perfect week look like? How would you feel at the end of your perfect week? Or how would you feel at the end of a perfect month? How would you feel at the end of a perfect year? Now, I know that idealism can set you up to have high expectations. We're just really wanting to get your brain and your mind to think about what it really wants from your life. If you don't think about what you really want, and if you're not clear about what you really want, you're going to be randomly moving along and just accepting whatever comes your way, making the most of every situation, which is great. But is it really fulfilling? Can you really at the end of it say that you've sat down today and lived a fulfilled life? Is your life fulfilled? So, I want to also talk about recalibrating your emotional state, because it's really hard to get into these intentional spaces when your emotional state is not calibrated properly, like mine was this morning. Mine was really not in a good space. I was really sad. And I could have probably sat down and sobbed for about 2 hours quite easily. That's me. I can sob at a drop of a hat. But I knew that if I was going to be effective today, even in getting to the point of wanting what I was sad about to be alleviated, I needed to change the way that I was feeling and change the way that I was thinking. So how do I do that? Okay, this takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and I'm going to encourage you to practice this as often as you can during the day and every single day. So how do I do this? I close my eyes. Sometimes you're in a meeting when this happens, or you're driving in your car and somebody's driving you insane on the road. Okay, so I know that not always can you close your eyes, but in order to start this process, I want you to close your eyes. You don't want stimulus interfering with this process. All right. Once you've got it practiced and you've disciplined, you can do this with your eyes open. You can do this anywhere. So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go into your memory bank and find a memory where you have been the happiest, where you were just in bliss, where you were thriving, enjoying your life, enjoying the time. And I want you to pull up all of those feelings. What did that feel like for you? Conjure up all of those feelings. Our brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So we can trick our brain into feeling happy. It's fabulous. We are so powerful, more than you realize. So bring up all of those feelings, and I want you to hold them. I want you to feel them deeply throughout all of your body. I want you to visualize all of those things that you were doing. Whether you were playing in the sand on the beach, whether you were playing cricket, whether you were playing with your friends in the garden, whether you were an adult doing fun things with your family. I mean, it doesn't matter. Age is not necessarily indicative here, but usually those blissful memories come from our childhood days when we are not restricted by life and limitations of adulthood. So go into that memory bank, pull out all those beautiful feelings and hold them. And I want you to practice holding those feelings 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, up to 15 seconds, and until you can hold it for 30 seconds. If you can hold it for a minute, even better. Okay? Because once you're able to sustain and hold those feelings in place, you change the chemistry in your body. You change the chemistry in your brain, number one. You change the chemistry flowing through your body. You change the chemistry in your blood. And you stop the adrenaline. You stop the cortisol. You stop all of that negative chemistry that starts to flow when you go into a negative space. And that's what we're wanting to achieve right now. We're wanting to achieve the halting of... Sorry about that, my camera crashed. Anyway, so we're wanting to stop the negative flow of energy. And when we're operating from a positive mindset rather than from a negative mindset, our output is better. The way in which we function is better. Our frame of reference is better. And so everything that we do comes from a place of belief that you will achieve the outcome you're looking for. When you're operating from negativity, your belief system is depressed. Your belief system, it pulls out all the lack beliefs, all the I cannot achieve beliefs, and so I know that when you're operating from that space, your performance isn't as good as it could be. When you're operating from a place of empowerment, feeling empowered, feeling happy, feeling joyful, your output is much better, much better. Your performance is much better. This is why we work with corporates and we work with performance-based principles and techniques to help staff actually achieve the best results they can, not only for the company, but for themselves. Because when you've got a happy, edified, empowered employee, you get the most and the best out of them in terms of output in their jobs. These particular techniques that I'm talking about come from a program we call Powerful Minds. It's generally used in the corporate setting, but it applies to every aspect and element of life. We work with people holistically, not individually. Well, holistically, not just in one aspect. When we work in corporates, we don't want to only work on the career or only work on the skill set. We want to work with the entire mind. People are whole. They're not segmented as silo beings. We are whole beings. Every aspect of life affects us, no matter how disciplined you are. And I'm a very disciplined individual. I can function at top form no matter what's going on around me. But I can tell you now that when things aren't good, at the time that I wasn't trained to function this way, I can tell you my output and my performance was tainted with those negative thoughts. I really, really believe in these principles. Life coaching for me is not just my job. It is my life. It is everything I believe I was born to do. And everything in my life, all my life experiences have geared me to ensure that I understand them inside out, not just intellectually or theoretically, but personally and practically and internally, psychologically, spiritually. I understand these things inside out. And my goal is to give you everything you need to live the best life you can. Power up, empower yourself. You can. You don't need external things to empower you. You can be empowered from within. Anyway, you have a beautiful day. Namaste, love and light. God bless you all. And just a note, there is a worldwide fast on the 10th of April. And I invite you all to fast with us. In my religious community, we're fasting, and we've invited Buddhists, we've invited Muslims, we've invited all religions to, and even those who are not religious, we've invited everyone to fast with us. for the health of our world and the health of our people. Sorry, getting a little emotional here. So that not only for ourselves we can move forward in a healthy way, but for our children and for those coming after us, we leave a world that is functional. Anyway, have a good day.